So my name is Dan McDougall. I'm the former Africa correspondent of the Sunday Times of London. I'm a former BBC Panorama documentary maker. I still work as a journalist at the Sunday Times magazine, and I run my own global content agency, Mirren, and we storytell around the world on social impact and human rights issues for organisations, NGOs. I was approached by the Lloyd's Register Foundation to conceptualise a series of films around the world on the lives of people who live around or on our oceans. I've known about Lloyd's Register Foundation for some time and their mission to engineer a safer world, but I think that their work raising awareness around safety is vital because there are not many people operating in this space. And I certainly think that their studies and the data that they provide are vital for us understanding not only the scale of the challenges facing ocean communities, but also the solutions that we can come up with to tackle the issues that they face every day. The first film that we're showing at the conference is Two Kinds of Water. Set in Senegal, it's a narrative that captures the relationship between a husband and wife. A wife who is on shore, much in the traditional mould of many Senegalese women, working in the markets, working in fish processing plants, and a husband who's at sea, bringing home the catch. This is a story as old as time, of course, and it's a dynamic that's also changing. The title of this story is Two Kinds of Water, and it's a really interesting quote. It's a quote from the Quran, which talks about how water can give and take. The exact quote is, "He is the one who has set free two kinds of water, one sweet and palatable, and one salty and bitter." And this is a really interesting quote, and I think encapsulates our relationship with the sea. Is it provides for us, it gives us this sweetness, it gives us this life, and it also takes life away, and it harms us. Our relationship is built on respect and fear. And the film explores the challenges that people are facing in modern day Senegal, facing huge challenges in terms of ocean safety. The influx of foreign trawlers from mainland Europe and also from as far as China are fishing their waters, forcing the Senegalese fishermen to go further and further out to sea to find their catch. They're spending weeks offshore, and of course this is leading to more fatalities. The second film is called Salt Lines, which borrows its title from the salt that seems to be wired into the bloodstream of generations up in down East Maine, about 6 hours drive north of Boston, a remote lobster fishing community. And this is a really fascinating story because it's a narrative around a single mother hauling lobster traps for a living in what is, to be honest, an unforgiving man's world. She's raising her own son to be a fifth generation lobsterman. And this is a really interesting story in itself because she decided that she wanted to have a child on her own terms and went through IVF because she didn't need a man in her life. She wanted to do it by her rules, whilst consigning gender stereotypes to the past. One of the most important things to consider is women constitute close to half of those employed in fisheries worldwide, yet their story is not often told. And without women, certainly fish wouldn't reach our table to the same degree. An estimated 2 million women bring in their own catch in near-shore coastal fisheries each day. It's an extraordinary figure. I definitely feel as a human rights film director that there's a dearth of storytelling around ocean communities. I mean, we're certainly seeing a lot of big thinking narratives at the moment about ocean, rising tides, the climate narrative in Greenland, which I've covered myself, but we're not really seeing the intimate stories, the stories of people who are struggling to survive day by day. One of the things that's really interesting for me about an assignment like this is the freedom that we have to tell the story in a way that we see fit. And it's a story very much without borders and without boundaries. And we've tried our best to tell really raw human stories and to communicate life as it is. The ocean gives us protein, it gives us food, it gives us livelihoods, it gives us energy now. It gives us the ability to transport goods across the world. We wouldn't exist without the ocean in so many different ways. In extreme weather, obviously, the ocean encroaches on land and destroys habitats and communities. So our relationship with the ocean is complicated. We hope that these thought-provoking films will really raise awareness of the plight facing some of the most important ocean communities on Earth.
lan nga yaakaar ni mën na aar mool ci jafe-jafe yi muy jànkonteel ci biir géej gi. boole ci nekk nit ku xarañ te mën a fagaru. bant bu oyof bu mën a jàppandiku wala moteur bu ndaw. ndaxte mucc ci géej yomb. yombul tamit ci jigéen bu toog di xaar jëkkëram ba keroog muy teer si. di nga def ay ñaan, di nga xaar ba xaddi, boole ci di dund ak yaakaar. nee nañu fii mënuñu dund saa géej gi. waaye dafa bari ay jafe-jafe.
sama gaal gi bant bu tudd tum ak samba nañu ko defare. bant bu dëgër la te wóor te mën naa dékku lu ne. xawma leneen lu dul géej. bi ma gënee nekk xaleel toll ci juróom wala juróom benn at ci laa tàmbalee di dem géej ak di jàppale sama mag bu góor ci napp gi. bi ma amee juróom ñetti at ci laa tàmbalee mënal sama bopp. ginnaaw gi ci laa bàyyi école jàpp ci napp gi. bi may soog a tàmbali sama liggéey moo nekkoon as gaal gi ndax mu bañ a suux. maa ngi tudd Ismaïla Mbaye dama judd ci famille mool màgg doon mool.
dund gi may dund daanaka lu bees la ci man. ci famille baykat laa juddoo. léegi nag samay famille sore nanu ma lool sax. maa ngi tudd Kumba. bi ma gënee nekk xale sama maam daan na ma wax naan géej gi amul bànqaas. bi ma amee fukki at ak juróom-ñeent laa fi ñëw. daanaka boobu magum jëmm laa waaye dama ragal géej comme xale. sunu géej gi dafay aay lool sax. bi may njëkk a gis mool yi ñuy rot ak seen gaal yi ci ay jafe-jafe. di puus ay puus yu tar ñu mel ni ci man nit kuy jàmmaarloo ak ay jafe-jafe àdduna. mu leer la ni nit kii du mucc ci jafe-jafe yi.
Sénégal dëkku nappkat la tur bi sax moo koy firndeel sunu gaal mooy tekk ci olof sunu gaal ama gaal ma sëriñ Alaaji Fàllu laa ko tudde sama pap ak sama maam bu góor ñëpp ay mool lañu woon am na ñeenti mag yu góor yu jàmbaare sax macha allah yenn ñaar ñi ci géej gi lañu des léegi maa ci gën a nekk xaleel te respecté nañ ma liggéey bi yëpp ci famille bi dañ koy jàngi xam-xam bi dañu koy donnante nooy xamee fu am jën nooy teeralee gaal gi su géej gi aaye nooy ngay jàngatee climat bi lépp ci famille bi lañ koy jàngi daanaka lépp ci biir famille bi lañ koy jàngi ci sunu ndijaay wala mag wala sunu doomu ndey wala sunu doomu ndijaay
saa yu Ismaïla di dem géej damay taxaw ci buntu kër gi di ko xool manuma ko gunge ba ci géej gi su demee ma dellu ci sama liggéey di toppatoo njaboot gi ak samay goro sama wareef mooy ma am ak ñépp jàmm ak salaam taxawu njaboot gi ak samay goro di jàppale Ismaïla napp gi dafa am solo lool fii ci Ndar ci lañuy tàmbalee waaye tamit ci lañuy jeexalee waaye jigéen ñi tamit rôle bu am solo dañuy jouer ñun ñooy waas ak di jaay jën ci marché yi ñooy togg di yàq ak di defar kër yi saa ñu góor ñi di nelaw ak di noppaliku xanaa waxtu julli rekk lañuy arrêté ba keroog gaal gi di teer ci géej
nekk ak sama doom saa yu ma teeree nekk na aussi lu ma neex ndaxte su ma nekkee géej bis yi day yàgg lool ci man te gis jën dafay jafe yenn saa yi boole ko ay xànq yu am doole boote yu jigéen bitim réew mooy napp jën yëpp ba mënatuñu gis jën te ñoom noo waral ñuy def fu sore ñu gis jën sunu gaal yi di sànku di këpp si géej. Changement climat bi tamit nekk na lu ñu tiis. taw mi jaaxalunu dinañ ko mën a gérer waaye ngelaw yi mooy sunu problème surtout gaalu ndaw yi. fu ñuy génn di xam dina ngelaw wala du ngelaw loolu moom yàlla rek moo ko xam.
Allah jarabina mo bene jarabidum Allah jarabina mo bene jarabidum Ali mana jarabide yo Ali mana jarabide Ali mana jarabide wo mo bene jarabidum kanuba
géej gi lu muy ay mool yi dinañ dem nappi ji loolu mool mënu ci dara xanaa su climat bi yéemee ñu dem sàkku ji ñaan ci sëriñ si ñaanlu ak lu ñuy aar dafa bokk ci dundu mool loolu la ma Ismaïla di wax ndax nee na fay soxla ay ñaan ndax moo koy aar ci géej. nee naa ko li xew ëllëg nag yàlla rekk moo ko xam waaye nag loolu lañuy gëm depuis seen maam yi te duñu ko mës a bàyyi su doon sama sago saay su demee géej am jën waaye tamit lu mënti am bu ñëwee dañ koy sante yàlla rekk ndaxte mën naa muñ xiif waaye mënuma dund sans sama jëkkër benn dëkk rekk moom am na benn armeel yu nekk fii à côté wante la fa ëpp ci ndaw yenn fa suul ay mool lan
liggéey bi metti na loolu sax mais loolu moo ñu fi bàyyi su may dem géej samay GPS ak samay boussole lay njëkk rangele dañuy diw sunu yaram ba mu niin ndax mën a mucc ci sedd bi li ci ëpp juróomi fan ñuy def ci géej dañuy ànd booloo liggéey bu baax te di bàyyi xel ci butu yu mag yi bu guddi jotee yaaba léegi gis leen Saint-Louis yombatul moo tax dañuy daw fu sore ngir man leen gis yenn saay dem ba boori Joal wala Gambie ngir ñu mën a gis pul nii nanuy dundee waaye noo gën a sore ëmbateur gën a sonn boo dewee 5 kilomètres ci biir géej sa téléphone dootul am réseau soo ko defee dootoo mënati jokkoo ak kenn foofu nag ngay jële sa responsabilité xam ne yow rek yaa fi sës man maay capitaine bi kon dama war a xam yoon yi may jaar
suñu mbégte ak suñu bànneex mënuñu ko tàqale ak géej gi rawante gaal yi jom ak fulla ju mat sëkk lanu siy demee xanaa ñu dellu sant yàlla mi ñu nattoo ndox mi xanaa yaakaar ni bii dund dina mës a changé ndax yaakaar ni génération bii di ñëw dinañ bàyyi géej gi dem defi leneen li wóor te wóor mooy fi ñu dëkk wóorul amul sécurité fi ñu dëkk ci Saint-Louis ndox rekk moo ñu wër saay boo yeewoo sa xel du dal ndax ndox rekk moo ñu wër
fajar teel saa boo déggee nodd bu njëkk boulangerie yi àndal lëndëm bi di liggéey ak di joxe nit ñi mburu nee nanu bu la yàlla wërsëgalee benn dogu mburu da nga war a di ka sant am na gëm-gëm bu wóor waaye yenn saa yi sama xel du dal su may dem géej ndaxte su ma xalaatee sama mag ji ma ñàkk ci géej gi sunu taawu kër Ousseynou ci géeju Kayar la des bi gaal gi këppoo amoon na benn doom bu toll woon ci fukki at Xaadim sama rakk ji ci géej gi la des bi sama gaalu ndijaay këppoo boobu mi ngi toll ci fukki at def na lu lekk mu mën a mucc waaye dafa loxo ci woon ci mbaal mi dafa nekkoon xale ngir amul woon doole ngir mën a puus gaal gi diis ci kawam ñàkk mag ak sarak nekkoon na lool lu ma tiis ci man kenn ki daanaka moo ma jàngee géej yàlla nattu na ma tamit ma war a jàngal kenn ki géej daanaka fii amul famille fu masul dund naqar guddi gi ñu toll nii
changement climat bi nekk na lu metti ci ñun nguur gi ñu ñuy taxaw ba benn barrage bu dox suñu diggante géej gi aar na waaye guddi yi xale yi ci lañuy fo mel ni kuy seq ci garab daanaka barrage bi ñu bari ci dëkkandoo yi toxu nañu ndax géej gi mi ngi avancé di yàq kër yi dafa mel ni géej gi daf nu bëgg jëlee suñu kër xanaa dinaa ci jàngat bu baax ngir ëllëg ñu mën a bàyyi xel bu baax ci doole yi géej gi ak ci loraangeem waaye tamit dina tax ñu mën a ràññee xeetu ndox yi am
The fall in Maine is gorgeous. You get the bright reds and yellows and oranges. When you're on the water, especially looking down the bay, it's a sight to see, and it also signifies something to fishermen. Once you see the sea of red colors on the trees, that means that the next bunch of lobsters is going to come out. As it starts to turn, it's not as pretty. You get the leaves falling off and the reds and the yellows turn to browns, and then the bitter cold strikes. It's always a sad day for me when we get our first frost and you wake up in the morning and your windows are covered. And you just know that the next thing around the corner is the snowfall. My name is Brittany Dunbar, and I'm a commercial lobster fisherman off the coast of Korea, Maine. Lobster fishing is not easy. It's not for the weak. There are many days when you wake up, it's either raining or the wind is whipping and you don't want to go to haul today. The last place you want to be is in the middle of a cold ocean. You do it because that's what we do. What scares me the most about fishing is not coming home to my children. It's always a risk that you take with Mother Nature. That's what goes through my mind all the time. When I'm on the boat, all I think about is Gunner and pray to God that I can make it home to him at night. You're minuscule compared to the sea, and that's why you have to respect it so much. If you don't, it will eat you alive. It will take you in and swallow you whole. I went to law school in Nashville, and I could be anywhere practicing law right now, but there was this draw and this pull to come back home fishing. My dad's a fisherman, my brother's a fisherman, my uncles and cousins and friends are all fishermen. And I hope that one day my son will be a fisherman too. Fishing is definitely in my DNA. I am a fifth-generation fisherman. I think I'm related to half the people, if not more, that fish out of my harbor. My great-great-grandfather actually lost his life on the water. He hit a rock outside of Korea Harbor. I never met him, but my father remembers the day that he passed away. My grandfather was a fisherman and fished up until he was almost 90 years old. I think that if my grandfather saw me out there fishing, he'd be damn proud. The men in this community definitely come off tough and strong. I think that's the main way in growing up on the seas. It's kind of the sailor mentality. It's traditionally been a man's job to be out on the boat. I know it was harder for my mom. She can watch my dad go a million times, but she didn't want her daughter to be a fisherman. She didn't want me out on the sea. I mean, in some instances, yes, being a woman can make it more dangerous. Like, if something were to go wrong, I can't pull quite as hard as a man might be able to pull on something. What I lack in strength, I make up for in other abilities. I think women are extremely good at multitasking and keeping perspective of multiple things. I think that's kind of been passed down generationally through women to women because they are mothers. Here, little girls are taught to go out and shoot their first deer with their dads and moms. My first memories of being out on the boat were mackerel fishing. My dad used to take us when we were younger. I used to love it. There was nothing I wanted more to be fishing on the boat or to be down by the co-op on the rocks when the mackerel were running. We used to have fish wars and fish fights, and it was a good time. I was a little tomboy, and so I loved being right in the middle of it. We have 5 female captains in Korea, and all but one of them have family ties to fishing. I remember the first female captain I saw, Jean was her name, and she was a retired nurse. She was one of the few people that had an education that actually went into fishing. I liked how all the guys, they kind of looked out for her. She fished on a 33-foot Young Brother. It's actually the same type of boat that I fish out of. My boat name is the Esquire because I'm an attorney. I decided to name it that. She is a classy, classy boat, and I like the looks of the old girl. The water gives us a lot, and it also takes a lot. When you're trying to make a decision on whether to go out to haul and the weather is rough, you really have to take into consideration the direction of the wind, the wave height, how deep the waves are, and how choppy it will be. You have to make sure that your crew is going to come home safe, and also that they feel comfortable when they're out there. You clearly don't want somebody who's afraid being out there. And every morning, it's best to go down and check out the weather for yourself. There's always fishermen that come down, and they end up having little powwows and talking it over, mulling it over, and just making a decision. And you know, sometimes they make that decision together as a group. I'm always looking, for knowledge from other people, and I'm willing to take other people's opinions and advice into consideration, especially when they're more experienced than me. used to think it was fun to go out there in the rough weather. I didn't bat an eyelash. I'd go offshore when all the men weren't going, but being a mom has definitely changed that. I've had friends personally go over in trawls, and they've gone so deep down, so fast in the water that their eardrums burst and they had blood coming out of their orifices as they resurfaced, and they were just very, very lucky to still be alive at the end of the day. Gunnar looks up to his grandfather so much. He's gonna want to be just like Papa. I think that it's in his blood, it's in his DNA to be out there on the water. I mean, he was in my belly at 9 months old out on the seas, rocking and a-rolling, and not many people can say that, right? They actually were on the ocean before they were born. He has 5 traps that I set out in the harbor for him and tally up his lobster count and set a little fund aside for him to hopefully be able to buy a boat in the future. His grandfather comes out to help babysit while we're out on the boat, and he just loves to see the different sea life. It's very sweet to see the bond that's building between them. My son wants to be just like Papa. In down East Maine, blood is thicker than water. You really rely a lot on your family here. Every time your boat breaks down and your dad or your brother or somebody with more experience and knowledge is there to help you, you learn a little bit so that maybe next time you'll be the person that gets to teach your kid how to do something. Most of these guys, if you took away fishing, they would have nothing. They don't have an education to fall back on. They've never done anything else. They have been doing this since they were in high school. Nature, it's their livelihood. So in the old days, they used to ring church bells to warn if there was a shipwreck, let everyone know that there was a sailor in need of rescue. We have the Coast Guard, but by the time that they would get here, lives would be lost, boats would be sunk, and a lot of times it's the fishermen that have to pick up that slack. We have like a call line. One person will call the next, and the call log keeps going around until everybody's notified so that we can go out there in the water and search for somebody. People come together, they really do in this town. We were built to survive here. I always knew I wanted kids. You know, I had my names picked out from a young age. I was in a relationship for 13 years, but I knew that he was not the one that I wanted to have my children with. I literally hadn't been independent at any point in my life, but I decided to take a leap of faith and step out on my own. I realized I was strong enough, financially capable, and independent enough that I could raise a kid by myself. I made an appointment with the IVF doctor, I found a donor, and the rest is history. He's my life. But there definitely is a lot more weight that is on me being a single mom. I don't have another person if something goes wrong on the water and there isn't another person there, there's not another parent there to step in and raise Gunnar. And now I'm pregnant again and have Gunnar at home. My last pregnancy was amazing, and I was able to fish right up until I gave birth almost. This one has not been as easy. But my traps have to be out of the bay by the end of November, or scallop season starts and they'll drag them and I won't have traps left. So I don't really have a choice. Being a captain, being behind the wheel, working hard, and coming home and feeling like you've accomplished something. It's what I grew up in. I love that I'm having boys with the Dunbar name. I do hope that one of them does decide to fish, because it is a legacy at this point, you know. I'm 5th generation gunner and hunter is in my belly. There'll be 6th generation fishermen.
Yeah, watching all the clouds pass on by.